By the time I got to the hospital, I was no longer in a place where you would consider me alive.
American psychic medium and healer Mariel Martin shares how she died in 1976 and was greeted by Lord Jesus Christ, vegetarian, who showed her that even our suffering brings blessings. Mariel, a natural-born clairvoyant, never expected an experience like this. In 1976, a drunk driver ran her off the road. A stranger carried her unconscious body into the emergency room, where she was pronounced dead. She had suffered a broken neck, severe back and nerve damage, and massive internal injuries.
During the time he was carrying me, I was in and out of consciousness. By the time I got to the hospital, I was no longer in a place where you would consider me alive. I was above my body. In fact, I remember specifically being in the hospital and floating up to the ceiling, where I was looking down on them working on me.
After doctors moved her into surgery, Mariel left her body entirely.
I went up into the light through the tunnel of light, which is in itself a most incredible experience of this big tunnel, huge tunnel, that was filled with a kaleidoscope of colors, and I could hear the singing of angels that was like an angelic hum. And after I went through into the tunnel, 2 angels appeared. I didn't know they were angels at the time. I just remember looking and saying, wow, there's a being on my left, there's a being on my right. I felt like I was flying. My mode of transportation was just to kick my legs and move through the air. And the angels at that point stopped me. They were able to just freeze my actions. A sensation I'll never forget. It was just like they said, stop, and then I couldn't move. And they said, it's not your time. You're not to go all the way through. It's really not the time for you to leave right now. And I begged them. I said, please, I'm already in the tunnel of light. I really want to see what's in heaven. Couldn't I just go and see what's there? And so they said, okay, but here's what's going to happen. We're going to escort you. And when you're there, you're only going to have a limited amount of time.
The angels let Mariel zoom ahead. When she emerged from the tunnel, Lord Jesus greeted her.
I got to the end of the tunnel. I stepped out into the light, which was very bright, and Jesus greeted me. I want to say it was a very humbling experience, because I sure didn't expect to be greeted by Jesus himself, who was standing there in white, dressed all in a white robe. And he welcomed me with such love that it felt like I was being showered in love from head to toe. It just totally filled my being with unconditional love. He had so much light coming from him that it was hard to see his facial features totally, because he was so filled with light and shining it out. And I could feel that the love brought light, that the light brought love. So much love that it felt like 100,000 people were welcoming me and just sending me their love. But of course, this was all coming from Jesus, and there were angels all around too.
Lord Jesus then took Mariel to a glowing garden for a life review.
Jesus and I walked over to what appeared to be a garden that was neon colors, brighter than any colors here on earth. It was absolutely glowing flowers and trees and bushes. He encouraged me to sit next to him on a bench. And he said, we're going to do a life review for you while you're here. The floor beneath our feet became transparent. It was like it was a glass window beneath our feet instead of the flooring. And he said, now look over there. And as I looked through the glass transparent floor, And again, there were beautiful glowing flowers all around. I could see the city below. People were there, but they were far away, as if I was up in a helicopter or a plane. And he said, "This is where we're going to show you things about your life." And then it zoomed in, the scene zoomed in to where I was seeing movies of my childhood. And it was very intense because I had survived a childhood of abuse with a narcissistic mother and helping raise 7 siblings. And he said, "I want to show you the meaning behind things." We went from scene to scene, with each scene him explaining to me that as difficult as life was, there was something I gained from every situation that was to help my soul grow, and that no matter how intense it had been, he wanted me to know that there was something I was learning from that, and to not hold on to the pain, but to instead think more about celebrating the learning that I gained. He said that even when you are suffering, you are gaining a blessing, and know that you're always loved, because you are actually an expression of love.
After reviewing about a dozen major events, the angels told Mariel it was time to return. She refused.
2 angels that had brought me through the tunnel came up and said, "Time for you to go." And I was saying, no, why would I want to go back there? It was really hard. And there was so much that I had to endure. And now I have all these body injuries from the guy plowing into my car. Please don't make me go back there. And they said, "Well, we are asking you to go, as your help will be very much needed. We need you to first take care of your mother and your family, like you have been doing. And then there are many other people we want you to help. We also want you to bring a greater understanding to people from your experience here."
Mariel reluctantly agreed, but only if the angels would stay with her. They promised they would. She flew back through the tunnel and slammed into her body in the operating room.
I sat up like a springboard, surprising the heck out of the doctor who was in the room. When I sat up, he said, "Oh, we thought you were dead." "Oh, good, we saved you. We saved you." And I looked at him quite perturbed, and I said to him, "No, you didn't save me. They sent me back." And he was like, "Who's they?" I said, "The angels and God. They told me it wasn't my time, that I needed to come back. So they're the ones that sent me here." As you can imagine, he stood there rather with his mouth open, and he said, "Oh, that's craziness. You must have not had enough oxygen to your brain. You better not tell anybody, because they're going to think you're crazy and they're going to lock you in the psych ward."
In the years that followed, Mariel recovered from her injuries, carrying with her an understanding that would shape the rest of her life.
First of all, it's a wonderful, rewarding experience to cross over into the light. Know that it's a transformation, and that your loved ones can reach you from the other side, because the cord that attaches your heart to theirs is still connected. That love you have is eternal. We just transform. We don't really die. Our souls are eternal.